Give me some royalty-free baby-making music that sounds like Barry Blanco, but doesn't cost any dinero, you dig? Fellas, Valentine's Day is at the end of the week. This week, not next week, this week. And if you've completely spaced on the whole operation up until this point, Howie's Market is here to save the day. Right now at America's favorite grocery market, you can get 2 8-ounce American Wagyu filet mignons, 2 lobster tails, a bottle of wine, rojo or blanco, and a chocolate cake for $99.95. As my good friend Michael Nolan would say, just add a baked potato and call it a night. Honestly, folks, if you ordered steak and lobster and wine and dessert at a restaurant, you're doing 200 ducats, dollars, clams in damage before the tip. So just go to Howie's Market. Spend half the money, get twice the quality, and make it yourself in the comfort and privacy of your own home. Your dinner table is closer to the bedroom too, if you know what I mean. If Adam Hawk can grill a filet mignon, so can you. And by the way, Hawk is going to Shakey's for Valentine's Day. You're going to Howie's. And that's the bottom line, because Ryan Engle said so.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fellowship. My name is Adam Hawk. I am joined by Ryan Engle, and for the first time in a long time, I can't even remember how long it's been, I have 0 notes in front of me.
Wow. Way to pull back the curtain, Wizard of Oz.
Most of you know by now, if you listen intently, that
I'm a control freak.
I script out every single word that I say on this podcast.
I do not script anything I say.
Correct.
So there's that.
Sometimes it sounds like you scripted it because I edit out all of your flubs.
Oh, really?
Really?
And Adam is announcing his retirement. He's quitting the pod.
That's not true.
You thought about it, though.
I thought about it over the weekend.
Yeah, but he's not a quitter.
I thought about quitting the podcast over the weekend. I thought about quitting a lot of things over the weekend.
Really?
Really?
But I do not have any notes in front of me. Normally, I have 7 to 10 pages of notes. And you would think that coming off of the Waste Management Open and the Super Bowl, I would be loaded. But I am not, because that Super Bowl went until 7 o'clock at night.
Is that later than normal?
It felt later.
It felt later to me, too.
But did it feel that way because the game itself was so bad and the commercials were so bad? And as much as I love and respect Kendrick Lamar, that's not a halftime show for the masses. That's a display in artistry that doesn't register with the general public or the television audience. You can't sit there and sing along to Kendrick Lamar or be like, let's wait for this part so we can all get excited.
Yeah.
You're just watching a guy who is really, really good at something that he does that you can't really participate in.
Right. I would say this. Obviously, the Eagles played a perfect game. So I wouldn't say the game sucked. I think the results of them outplaying their opponents sucked for fans that wanted to watch a competitive game. A little bit of nuance needed, but I understand what you're saying. For us, not being an Eagles or a Kansas City fan, or quite frankly, much of a fan of the NFL at all, I would agree with some stipulations there that the game sucked. The commercials were really bad.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how much money they spent. I guess I just am too small-minded to not see it a certain way. I look at dollars and cents, and a brand like Nerds Candy having like an $8 million spot. How many people are buying Nerds right now? Honestly. And there are these new cluster ones that come in a bag. Whoever owns Nerds, I don't know if it's Nestle or whatever, how on earth are they buying a Super Bowl spot? To me, those things are crazy. Obviously, there's the Kanye thing, and I had to go on the website to see what the fuck it was, you know what I mean? And
you did?
I had to.
You went on Yeezy.com?
Yeah, I was on there for like 3 seconds, and I bounced, which I didn't help his bounce rate analytics. I'm pretty sure everything on there was $20 or something like that. It was something crazy. You know, he's doing it to just turn a profit on a little bit of a hype sale thing. Other than that, I mean, there were some wacky commercials. A couple of them made me smile, you know. I thought that Harrison Ford dig at the end where he's like, my last name's Ford, and he drives off in a Jeep. I was like, that was unnecessary. You know?
Oh, I love that.
Come on, dude.
It was a great line. He said, "This Jeep makes me happy, and my last name's Ford." Mm-hmm. And then he just peels out.
He didn't peel out. He fucking crawled out like the old man he is. Probably how he drives, dude.
Are you a Harrison Ford guy?
Yeah, but I mean, I was a Harrison Ford guy before he got basically forced into elderly abuse by rekindling all of these old characters. Let the guy go off in the sunset. Why are you pulling him back into Star Wars and Indiana Jones? It's just too much, dude. I don't need to see Indiana Jones all old and they got a CGI like every fucking part. Let those movies be great. What's up with Hollywood right now? Whether it's a show or a movie, there's no more new ideas. It's all just bringing back old shows. What's next? Airwolf? You watched. Airwolf's going to be coming through. I guarantee it.
It'll probably be live action with a real wolf.
Yeah.
All these studios own what's called intellectual property.
So it's probably easy for them to do that, or
it's incredibly easy, and they know that there are built-in audiences for it. And I've said it before, believe on a text message to you and Justin. I can't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise because all of these movie franchises are now playing out like episodic television. You're no longer going to the movies to watch a standalone movie. You're going to the movies and waiting till after the credits when they tease the next movie that's coming out, which is so similar to sitting on your couch, finishing a Netflix show that has a massive cliffhanger, and then you have to start the next one.
Right.
So movies are now emulating television, which is not the way I want to watch movies. I have no idea how we got to this point in the conversation, but I think everyone was rooting against the Chiefs because we, as a culture, tend to like a lovable loser who finally gets over the hump and wins. And then they win again, and it's not as great. And then they win a third time, and all that love starts to turn to hate. And people love to hate the Chiefs. I am among them. I cannot stand them.
I like Andy Reid.
Do you?
Classic football coach.
I used to like him.
What's wrong with him now? The bad commercials?
Bad dad.
Wow.
Chose football over family, and his sons have suffered for it.
So it hits close to home for you.
And when you say it hits close to home, it's because...
just an observation.
Because I'm a bad dad?
No.
Steve Jobs, bad dad.
Mm.
Real bad dad.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we tend to start to hate teams that win a lot?
Some people lose and win better than others. And the Chiefs have definitely been very rub it in your face, especially considering there are a number of major moments in deciding situations where they got the card they needed.
Cookie crumbled their way.
Cookie crumbled their way.
The ball bounced their way.
The ball bounced their way. What's another one? They got the long end of the stick. You know what I'm saying?
People don't really talk about people getting the long end of the stick.
Well, the Chiefs sure did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Buffalo. They got the short end of the stick.
There you go. I don't watch the NFL at all. I made it the entire season without watching a single second of a single game. I'm a little embarrassed.
You watched the Super Bowl.
You're right. And I was just saying I'm a little embarrassed that I spent as much time watching the Super Bowl as I did. But I have such a habit of pressing mute during the commercials. I had to break that habit.
That's the worst.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was more into the commercials. I've become that person who's watching the Super Bowl for the commercials. Unfortunately, the commercials were as bad as the game, save for one commercial, the very, very, very first commercial that aired after kickoff, and that was the Lilo and Stitch commercial. My daughter loves Lilo and Stitch.
Same.
Your family must really like it because of the Hawaii connection.
Totally.
Yeah. Come to find out that not only did our families genuinely love the commercial, but not to dox anyone, and we won't, we know the person that produced that commercial, which was really cool to hear. and I sent that person a text message congratulating them on the great work. Tough to be the first one out of the gate, and very improbable to have the very, very first commercial end up being the best.
Yeah, there were some bad ones. I almost felt sad during a couple of the commercials because it's like, you need this? Seal butchering his song and letting them CGI him into a seal. Does anyone else find this extremely
embarrassing?
Lacking of tastefulness?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Did you see?
Why'd you sign up for that?
Did you see the commercial for the women's flag football league? And the two jocks on campus who were the big idiots were named Brad and Chad.
Yeah.
My wife looked at me and was like, did they take you and Ryan's script?
Yeah.
Tom Brady was horrible at broadcasting. All he did was repeat himself time and time again.
And talk about himself.
But if I had $1 for every time he said, Patrick Mahomes is uncomfortable in the pocket, and I would be too with this pass protection, he said that phrase 15 times.
You think Fox got their $300 million out of him yet?
I don't know. He's also, and I hate to bring personal appearance into it, he's also the weirdest looking guy ever.
Yeah.
Whatever work he got done, he looks like AI.
He looks robotic.
Did you happen to see before the game, they had some Brad Pitt commercial where he's waxing loquaciously about how this is a culture moment for America. They've got people carrying a flag on a stick, riding horses up the hill, and pickup trucks driving through the dirt, and Brad Pitt saying that we need this game, we need football. And then it rolls right into Tom Brady and Michael Strahan walking down Bourbon Street wearing NOLA Strong and LAFD Strong up to a piano where Lady Gaga plays to a bunch of military people and residents and city officials. And I wrote in my phone, I feel so bad for people who think football is cool.
I know.
It's so over the top. It's a Marvel movie on steroids.
It's one half of a step removed from WWF wrestling.
WWE makes no bones about the fact that it is fake. Football, the sport, the people, the business, and everyone involved in it are so convinced that they are saving the world.
Yeah.
That if we didn't have football, we wouldn't have a country. We wouldn't have family. We wouldn't have progression. We wouldn't have an end to racism and violence. And then Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady doing that commercial where they're yelling at each other. I hate you for this. I hate you for that. I hate that.
I grew up a huge Snoop Dogg guy. That Deep Cover album, and then the Dr. Dre thing, them getting on the on-ramp and lowriders for that Let Me Ride video. Talk about a culture shift in history, especially being from Southern California and you're growing up and you see that on TV and you just go, whoa. You just made everyone throw away their Boys to Men and Milli Vanilli CDs and go get a khaki suit down the street. You just changed the way everyone did everything, which was radical. And Snoop Dogg today, same as feeling bad for Bill Murray and Seal on these commercials. What more do you need, pal? Just go away. You're fucking old now. It's over. You're done, dude. You're doing commercials with Martha Stewart, bro. You're sponsored by Skechers. I'm not listening to you anymore.
You know what my dad calls Skechers? Stretchers.
So good, dude. So good. That is the shoe you wear when you die.
Yes, exactly. How pompous is the NFL to think that if they make a 30-second spot about hate, that all the world's problems are solved? And I get it. You're probably listening going, they didn't say they solved the problems. The NFL has such a high opinion of itself that they think if they paint the words end racism in the end zone, or they make this commercial about hate, or they show a women's flag football league, that all the problems are solved.
Yeah.
They have perpetuated so many of these problems.
They are the problem.
Yes.
They're just trying to cover their tracks, dude. It's just crazy to me that people are so locked in that trance. When you back up a little bit, though, I think football's great. When you rewind into the community aspect of it, you know, local high school team or somewhere you went to college or the Friday night lights in a little small town and what those games and those teams and the whole prepping for it, what that means for the small community and brotherhood of the guys going out there when football's in its raw, real form. I think that's awesome. But the NFL, to plant your flag on the argument hill of the NFL being a part of that cool culture of football, no, dude.
Yeah.
It's so far removed from that, and you're fucking kidding yourself if you're going to tell me that that product has the same culture as what I just explained.
And then they say football is family.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they show you a commercial on how you can give away all your family savings to gamble on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all they promote. If it wasn't for gambling, football would be gone.
Right. How was your birthday? Your birthday was on Saturday, February 8th, the day before the Super Bowl. Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah. Yeah, I just cruised around with the fam and went to a nice dinner. Was surprised with a new computer. The whole family pitched in on it. My laptop's so old, it turned it on and the battery dies in like 5 minutes.
Do you know how to use a computer?
Yeah.
Do you know how to type with more than 2 fingers?
I use I would say I use 4 to 6 fingers at times.
Wow.
The pinkies never get action. Never. But I'm actually not as bad at typing as you would imagine. Definitely do it my own way, self-taught. I did it my way. But know how to use a computer. Pretty much responsible for just about every graphic we put out.
And you went to a dive bar for your birthday. I got an invitation from your wife. She said, I know it's a long drive, but we're having drinks tonight down at Swallows.
The Swallows Inn.
If you and your wife would care to join. And I wrote back, no thanks.
Yeah.
Did Will Schwartz call in a tab?
Yeah.
How'd he do that?
Well, the world is your oyster, Adam, if you're willing to engage.
What does that mean?
It means that you got to pay to play. You got to make plans. He made plans.
Still efforting the meaning of what you were saying.
Really.
How did Will Schwartz pay for drinks remotely?
I think he Venmo'd Katie Kai to put some money on the bar tab or something.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
44. 44. My fofo, make sure your kids don't grow.
Are you feeling old?
No, I feel the same. Maybe 48, 50. I'll feel the next kind of slowdown. I'll just go down a flex and shaft. Yeah. Still hit steel, but got to go regular. Need a better kick point.
Speaking of golf, did you watch any of the Waste Management Open?
I watched a little bit of it. I watched a little bit of the end. What a snooze fest. It's crazy what they try to sell outside of what's really going on there. It's a pro golf tournament. And you watch, and here's this leader going down the stretch, and there's empty seats. Even on 18 when he was finishing up, it wasn't even crowded. We live in a world full of narcissists, and it's just a me movement. That whole tournament catered to just feeding those people, and pretty smart. They try to keep them in one general area. But outside of that, it's just the same old boring PGA Tour golf tournament where people have to be quiet while the guy's hitting, and you have to walk with the players. And down the stretch, there's just not even a lot of people on the ropes. So where are all the people? They're there for the stupid concert and the theatrics around 16 and getting seen and taking videos in the skybox, holding how many cups they have. And it's smart. Cater to those guys, make them feel special. You're going to get bodies there. But then in the end, when it's not a favorable person at the top in the field and he's coming down the stretch, you can see all those people who they catered to build this tournament up, they're not interested in the real thing. No one's watching the real golf.
I wonder if that's because it was a blowout golf tournament with a no-name winner, Thomas Dietrich, on Super Bowl Sunday.
It has a little bit to do with it, but I think that whole shtick has kind of run its course.
I spent a lot of time this weekend nowhere near my phone. Friday night and Saturday night, I put my phone down from 6 p.m. until the very next morning. Both nights, didn't touch it, didn't look at it, put it out of reach, put it on silent. My goodness, my wife and I had conversations we would have never had because one or both of us would have been sucked into our phones, gone down an individual rabbit hole that takes 20 to 30 to 60 minutes to get to the end of send each other reels back and forth despite the fact that we're sitting on the couch 4 feet away from each other.
Right.
And instead we just spend time together, spinning yarn, shooting the breeze.
Yep. Flapjacking.
A lot of horse hockey.
Yep.
A lot of jaw jacking.
Yep.
It was great. Those 2 nights were great. It was nice to unplug. And what I found in the morning, here comes the confession of all confessions. I expected to open my phone and have an onslaught of notifications, missed text messages, emails to catch up on. There was far, 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 far less than I could have ever imagined, which makes me think that maybe I am the perpetrator of all of these communications that I am constantly involved in.
Yes. I mean, that's you, bro. So you need to notify yourself to slide on over to the side for a minute, dude. Know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I spent a lot of time this weekend nowhere near my phone, and I really enjoyed it, and I want to do more of that. And I would encourage anyone out there to try it. If you feel like you're struggling with always being on your phone, put your phone away. See what happens. What's weird is I had this instinct, this physical urge and impulse to reach for my phone on the couch next to me when it wasn't there because I had put it away. And you really find out just how addicted you are to these devices.
Yeah, it's sad, really.
And normally when I'm watching a pop culture event, like an award show, a presidential debate, a Super Bowl, I will be in multiple group texts. I was in 0 of them yesterday. And that was nice.
That is nice.
Because when the game ended, it ended. I was on to the next thing. I wasn't finishing up 18 different conversations about something that simply doesn't matter.
Right.
So I highly encourage people to try that.
I'm glad that you were able to turn things around this weekend, because on Friday when I left you, you were in a bad place.
Very bad.
Yeah.
I had a panic attack here at work on Friday.
Yep.
Had a lot to do with...
You had many panic attacks at work.
Could have been just one prolonged one.
Could have been. Maybe.
You and Dana Shapiro were not helping.
I was trying to help.
I think you guys got some sort of sick joy out of watching me hyperventilate, punch my desk, freak out, have to go for walks around the office park just to try to calm down, because our launch of the Nation Desert Classic and getting out VIP invites and collecting money was so ham-fisted, and our solution for it was so incomprehensible to me. Oh, wow. You have a picture of... Wow.
Look at that, just defeat on that man's face.
You took a picture of me
defeated
mid-panic attack.
Yep.
From Friday.
Yep. It's a good one. It's a good one.
I wish this was on video so people could see it.
So did I, but add that to your list of notifications.
Right. Have you ever put honey on pizza?
Hot honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Really good.
I mean, when is honey not good?
That's a great question.
Call me Pooh Bear, bro, because I will put my bear's claw through that little pot of gold, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Honey is, I think it's proven, too. It's like a superfood. Sugar is for peasants. The king has honey. Honey's the top. That's the top sweetener. And it's natural. The bees are just like, you want a piece of this? We're making it all day.
I would recommend to anyone out there listening that if you have a jar of honey in your cupboard, the next time you have some pizza,
give it a drizzle.
Drizzle a little honey on it. Doesn't have to be hot honey. It's better if it is.
Oh, hot honey is something special.
Any honey will work. Hot honey is the best, but any honey will work. Let's wrap it up. YouTube comments. Thank you.
Wrap it up.
To everyone that left comments on YouTube. Remember, you can listen to this show anywhere that you want, but we only read comments on YouTube. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or elsewhere, head on over to YouTube, find the corresponding episode, drop a comment there, and we will read it if it's good. Scott Miller writes, love the podcast, but for one hosted by Nation Golf, there is a lot more brand mention of Jason Day's clothing sponsor than that of the hosts lately. Can I request that the next mention of Jason Day or his clothing provider be when he isn't dressed like a clown on the golf course? Keep up the good work, Scott.
When has he not been a clown on the golf course?
Birdman says, Trevor Immelman said it best about Jason Day's outfit last week, quote, did he lose his luggage, end quote. It's a great line by Trevor Immelman until you consider, no, he did not lose his luggage. He intentionally packed that and put it on.
Right.
It was not a last resort. It was a first choice. Chef Eric Baker, who started the conversation last week about Keanu Reeves when he requested that you do an entire episode in character as Keanu Reeves, gave his top 5 rundown of Keanu Reeves' characters. Number 5, Constantine. Number 4, Neo. Number 3, Johnny Mnemonic. Have you heard of this character?
No.
Nor have I. Number 2, Johnny Utah from Point Break. And number 1, Bill and Ted. And I don't know off the top of my head if he played Bill or Ted.
I don't either.
Donald Kirchhofer said that 7-Up monologue was the gospel truth.
It really is. Sprite is just syrup, dude.
My wife really liked your take on 7-Up. She's been flying the 7-Up flag for a long, long time.
It's just superior.
Thomas Brennan wrote, quote, you crossed the line, people trusted you, and they died. You got to go down.
You got to go down. You crossed the line and people trusted you and they died.
Missed you by about a week in Fiji.
Missed you by about a week in Fiji.
By the way, when that appeared in my email as a notification that we had a YouTube comment, all I saw was you crossed the line.
And you were like, oh, God, I got to get to this right now.
I did, because I was thinking, what did we say?
Of course you did.
How did we cross the line? And then I saw you cross the line, people trusted you, they died, you got to go down, and realized he was quoting Johnny Utah.
Can't handle a cage, Johnny.
You know there's no way I can handle a cage, man.
It has to be that way.
I don't care. You got to go down. It's got to be that way.
Maximilian says Jason Day and Malbon are achieving exactly what they set out to do. They are disrupting the space and getting people to talk. They are getting a ton of attention and exposure for their brand. It is a masterclass in marketing because it is free. Opinions aside, what they are doing is working, and it's very clever.
That's what we said, which is the opposite of what they have everyone sheepishly falling for, which is that they're these fashionista icons of making statement pieces that hit their headstone. No, they are BuzzFeed headline chasers. That's what this is. So we said that. You just reinvented it. I'll add this, and I think I responded to that. Master class in marketing. Marketing for what? I guess if they wanted to switch gears from clothing brand to PR firm, that would make sense. They're definitely getting your attention, but they're getting your attention for the wrong ways. That was the point we made. It doesn't serve the game, doesn't serve the histories and traditions of it. It just serves themselves, which is fine. Go get that, but don't be fooled. And that's all we're asking.
Will Shores writes in, if someone you really care about can't stop saying the word or like too much, how do you help them?
You just give people a little more grace, a little longer leash. Maybe it's you that has a problem because it bothers you so much.
I just edit it out, Will. That's how I take care of that problem.
Yeah, and then he complains about how much time he spends doing it.
Shout out to Lone Star Mike, who listened to last week's episode on a 4-hour flight to Arizona.
Wow, Arizona. I feel like you're leaving that weekend feeling like you went to Coachella. You paid top shelf for, well, you're leaving there going, I just spent thousands of dollars and I drank Michelob Ultra out of a plastic fucking cup. Look how many cups I got. Fucking idiot. Arizona. What a bunch of fucking idiots.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to The Fellowship. This was an unprepped episode. I did not spend my Sunday writing takes, and I believe I subconsciously did that as an homage to my new post-radio life. Super Bowl Sunday used to be the worst day of the year for a producer of a radio show because you were sitting there with a legal pad, feverishly taking notes that you type up that night until midnight, wake up at 5 a.m, write them out, hand them to a host who reads them for 3 hours, and It's a very stressful time. So I do enjoy the fact that my Super Bowl Sundays, regardless of how bad the football is and how much I don't care, are no longer me being held at gunpoint with pressure. So I didn't write anything for this show either. Thanks for getting through it. We'll get back to you regularly scheduled, prepped programming next week as we come off of the Genesis at Torrey Pines, which I may or may not attend. Again, thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you on Monday.
2 and 2.
Do it in 2 and 2.